If Itachi Uchiha and Law from One Piece were to fight, who do you think would actually win that fight? Right? Now, Itachi, he's a fan favorite. A lot of people would probably say Itachi, and who knows, they might be right. I don't know. Right? So we're actually going to talk about this and actually see who would actually win this fight. Right? So Itachi, he's known for his genjutsu. He's a master, of illusions and, things of that nature. He has the fireball jutsus, and he's a master of, flames and stuff like that as well. He also has the black flames, which can erase everything. He has the Susanoo with the Totsuka blade, which could seal everything. He has the Yata mirror, which can reflect everything. Okay, plus the Susanoo is just a very powerful avatar. Okay, he's also a master of taijutsu, right? And he has, amazing accuracy with his, shuriken and, things like that, and on top of that, Itachi's also very strong and fast, right? But one key thing to note here is that Itachi is not as fast as lightning. Okay, and speed does in fact matter a lot. Okay, especially during versus battles, speed matters a whole lot. And one key thing to note, like I said, is Itachi is not as fast as lightning. Now, of course, a lot of people, listening to this, they might be like, well, how do you know that? Like, Itachi is much faster than lightning. He's much faster than lightning, right? And he's not actually. Like, he's actually not. And there's proof to back that up. When Sasuke used Kyurem on Itachi, he told everybody that the Kyurem is a unblockable and unavoidable move, and you might be like, oh, well, Kyurem, it's a very powerful lightning blast. It moves at X amount of speed, but the problem is that the speed was actually given to us by Zetsu, the actual speed of the attack, which was stated to be unavoidable. Okay, and the speed of the attack was 1/1000th of a second. Okay, and he said it moves faster than sound. He's describing lightning speed here. Okay, so he's saying that this lightning speed attack is unavoidable due to its speed. That's what he's saying. So you also might have a lot of other people, who might come up here and might be like, well, Itachi was sick, and he was sick, and so, like, yeah, he was sick, but see, here's the thing about this whole, Itachi was sick, so blah, blah, blah kind of argument, right? Itachi was in fact sick. Okay. Does that hinder his, his performance in battle? Probably. Right. But here's the thing. Itachi being sick is actually part of Itachi's character. Okay. Itachi being sick is just part of who Itachi is in the story. He was born with the sickness and he died with the sickness. Okay. Him being sick is just part of who Itachi was. So if Itachi could not dodge lightning, whether it's because he's sick or because of whatever reason you could think of, the point still remains: he could not dodge lightning. You understand what I'm saying? And that's something that a lot of people, they just kind of glaze over. Him being sick is just part of his character. That's just part of his character. And he could not dodge lightning. Deal with it. And when you're pitting Itachi up against Law, from One Piece, we do have to acknowledge that Law is in fact much faster than lightning. Okay, now you might be like, oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. And there's lots of proof that actually prove that Law is in fact faster than lightning. And most of it is going to be upscaling, but it's very reasonable upscaling. Like, for example, back in the past in Skypiea, which you guys should go back and read the arc. It wasn't that bad. It's a great arc. Okay, just go back and read it. Stop skipping arcs. But if you look back at Skypiea, we meet a character. His name is Enel. All right, he's made of lightning. He moves at lightning speed. He does a lot of lightning-based attacks. Okay, now everybody on the Straw Hat crew were able to react, avoid, most of his lightning-based attacks. All right, this includes Nami and Usopp, by the way. Okay, Usopp is actually able to dodge lightning pre-time skip pretty early on, which is crazy to think about if you actually, just look at that. Like Nami and Usopp, them two were actually able to dodge and evade lightning. What the hell? But that aside, Luffy, he beat this man in base, right? No gear second in sight. He beat this man. Okay. And then he goes on to Water 7. He fights Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci, dog walks Luffy at first. Then he develops gear second. He comes back. Luffy's at least, 5 times faster. But, for this scenario, because a lot of people, they try to get my analysis and they try to, break it apart. I'll just lowball it and just say Luffy's twice as fast. Okay, I'll just lowball everything and just say Luffy's just 2 times as fast. Okay, so Luffy's 2 times faster than what he actually was in gear second. Okay, and he fights Rob Lucci, and Rob Lucci is still dog walking him even in gear second. Okay, yeah, you're a little bit faster in gear second, but it's still not anything on Rob Lucci. Like Rob Lucci, he's still blitzing the hell out of gear second and just mollywopping the shit out of him. Okay, so this is already showing you that Lucci's faster than Enel, Luffy's faster than Enel, much faster than Enel actually. And Luffy finally actually does beat Rob Lucci. And moving on from there, he goes on to fight Gecko Moria. I'm not saying Gecko Moria is as fast as Lucci or anything, but he's pretty nice. He's pretty nice. Then we meet Bartholomew Kuma, who, in the manga it was stated to be able to shoot air blast at the speed of light. Okay, so he can move his hands and repel air at the speed of light. Now, of course, you got a lot of fans who might, point out the fact that, he's reflecting the air at the speed of light, creating a shock wave which travels at a lower speed than light. And okay, that's fair, but the point is that it's still much faster than lightning. Okay, those air blasts, they're still much faster than lightning. And then I point out Zoro, right? Zoro at this point in the story, he's beat the fuck up. He's bleeding all over the place. He just got done getting his ass whooped by Moria and Oz. He's right on death's door. And he's sitting up here bobbing and weaving and just like evading all of these air blasts, that Kuma is sending at him. He's effortlessly just dodging all of these moves. And the thing is Zoro scales directly to Luffy. Okay? Like Zoro, he's never going to just outclass Luffy, right? But they're both equal, you know what I mean? And everybody knows this. Like Zoro and Luffy, they're both equal. Just one uses swords, one uses fists. Now, the thing is like when they get to Shabody Archipelago, Law and Kid are there, okay? And all 3 of them are basically relative to each other. Okay, all 3 of them, they're relative to each other in strength, speed, and all of that. And we see this, during their fights, versus the Marines. They're all pretty much equal to each other. Okay, so this shows you that Law is relative to that version of Luffy. Who, by the way, is much faster than lightning. Like if a nail pulled up on Shabody Archipelago, he would get dog walked. Or should get dog walked, you know what I mean? And that's just the truth of the matter. So if we're getting like at the introduction Law, which is the version of Law that I'm using, at the introduction Law, we're not even going into post time skip yet. Okay, just when Law is introduced, get him. He is already beyond lightning speed. And I'm not talking about by just a little bit either. He's much beyond lightning speed. I'm not saying that he's light speed yet, although he does become light speed in post time skip, but he is already much faster than lightning. Okay, which is something that, I'm sorry, Itachi could not dodge. Okay, so he's faster than Itachi. Okay, so Now we have to get into abilities. Okay. Whose ability could do what? Could Itachi use his powers to, destroy Trafalgar Law? Right. And you'll be surprised to figure something out about this, after I get done with, my analysis. Genjutsu, which is what Itachi is mostly known for. If Itachi tried to use Genjutsu on Trafalgar Law, it would not work. Okay? And you might be wondering why. Because Law doesn't have a chakra circulatory system. Okay? If you follow power scaling, you've heard this before. Okay? Law and all of One Piece characters do not have chakra systems. Now, of course, a lot of, versus battlers and scalers and fans, they might come together and be like, oh, well, we're using equivalent, equaled out verses, equaled out verses. Everybody has, the same power system. It's all equal. But you can't do that, actually, and I've been saying this for the longest time. You cannot equal out every single verse like that. You just cannot do that, and there's a couple of reasons why. Naruto's chakra, it works because there is a such thing called a chakra system. Okay, it's not just like some random energy that's just in their body that they could just conjure up and just do. Okay, it's actually a part of like a circulatory system, much like your blood vessels and nervous system. It's actually a whole bodily organ that's in their body. Okay. And Naruto, the manga, it goes into vast detail about this. It points out Kentetsu points and how it's curled around your heart and your liver, and all things like that, and you can't get that kind of a system and then stick it into One Piece characters, just for the sake of a battle. Okay, because you're going to then get an inaccurate battle. If you were to stick that in there, you would basically be saying that Neji, he can fight Law or Luffy and hit their Kentetsu points, right? But they don't have Kentetsu points. You can't merge every single power system in anime and manga. You just can't do that. You know what I mean? And if we're talking about Haki is not the same thing as chakra at all. Okay, Haki is basically willpower. Okay, only magical. It's like a magical version of willpower. Okay, where you can wave your will around and you can will, yourself to be stronger. You can knock people out by, your impressive will, which is Kankura. Okay, and that's basically all it is. Now, chakra, that's basically some magical energy that came from a fruit, that it's in their body, it runs through their veins and, some kind of chakra system. And you can't get that and stick it into other characters just because you want to do a versus battle. Okay. You can't modify other characters just so your characters can have a chance. Okay. And that's just not going to happen, because if you do that, you're going to have an inaccurate battle, where, it's going to be faulty results. Okay, Trafalgar Law does not have a chakra system. Genjutsu requires a chakra system to confuse to do genjutsus. Law doesn't have a chakra system. So what does that mean? Law will be unaffected by genjutsu. He'll be unaffected by Tsukiyomi. He'll be unaffected by all of that. Right? And if you look at it, there really should not be no argument about that. Okay? He's not a Naruto character. He just doesn't have chakra, okay? So moving on, Itachi, he has the black flames, the Amaterasu. This is the thing that a lot of Naruto fans, they love to, point out, like, oh my God, like, what will he do about Amaterasu? He could just do this move and you're just burnt up to a crisp. You're dead, right? And this ability would actually not work at all. And I'll explain why, but first I'd have to explain a little bit about Law, right? Law has this ability. It's called Room. Okay. Where he sets up like a spherical domain, which can get as big as mountains, by the way, like whole mountain ranges, like what the hell, so he can set up this big ass spherical domain where he can, do a lot of godlike type of abilities, right? Like he can chop things up. without even making physical contact with it. He can rearrange objects like Legos. He can chop up people and rearrange their body parts while they're still alive. He could amputate different body parts. He could swap your soul, and many other things like that. It's almost like he's playing a game of Operation. Like he can do anything he wants in that bubble, including teleport, and just all kinds of different things like that. So when you have Itachi and he uses, let's say, Amaterasu on Trafalgar Law, he could just pop Amaterasu right off of him. Okay. Now, a lot of fans, they might be upset about that, but it's just the truth. You throw black flames on Trafalgar Law, or try to in a way, he could just pop them straight off onto something else. Effortlessly, like very easily, with very minimal effort. Okay. So those black flames, they will not even work at all. Like they just really would not work. He'd be better off just not using them. They just would not work. And Itachi's last big ability, which a lot of people always look at, is his Susanoo. Now the Susanoo has the Totsuka blade, which, yeah, if it did hit Trafalgar Law, which, if it did hit him, it would one-shot Trafalgar Law and seal him away. And yeah, that'd be GG's. He'll be cooked. Like he's gone, right? And he also has the Yata mirror, which can reflect all attacks, that hit the shield, right? But there's a big flaw in this whole Susanoo versus Trafalgar Law battle. Law, he can teleport Itachi right out of the Susanoo. Now a lot of fans, they might again be like, oh, the Law, he can't do that. He really can't do that. But we actually do see, Susanoos get defeated all throughout the series, in multiple different ways. Most famously, we have Ishiki. He jumps up there and he punches Sasuke like just right out of the damn perfect Susanoo. Just like he just drop kicks the hell out of him and he's just flying straight out of the Susanoo. We also have, Madara versus the Ninja Alliance. When he did that whole Ninja Alliance massacre thing, Gaara, he was there, right? And Madara, he pulled out the half Susanoo, where it's, cut off at the torso. And he was able to grab Madara by the foot and just throw his ass right out of the damn Susanoo. Just throw him out there, right? And all of this is showing you that you can actually interact and stop the Susanoo, by kicking the person out of it. There are ways to interact with Susanoo. So in Law's case, if you were to teleport Itachi right out of the Susanoo, he beat the Susanoo. The whole Susanoo would just disappear. And on top of that, it would take a lot of chakra from Itachi to redo his Susanoo. Which is, again, something that Itachi doesn't have. Itachi doesn't have a mass amount of chakra. Okay? So he could possibly do one Susanoo, it gets dispelled, maybe one more, and that's it. And Law, he can just spam this ability. Like, he could just teleport you right out of the Susanoo repeatedly, without really tiring out. And that's the one thing about One Piece abilities that many people don't really pay attention to. Most of their abilities don't tire out. Now Law, he can get exhausted from using his rune. We do see that with him versus the Flamingo, right? But the thing is before he became exhausted, Law, he can use his ability just all over the place, right? Like, it's not like, okay, he takes a lot of energy just to teleport one thing. No, he can teleport multiple thousands of things all, within the span of 5 seconds, and he's still not even tired. It takes a long time for him to actually get tired. And with Itachi, he just needs to teleport him out of his Susanoo like 2 times, and he's already out of chakra if he decides to keep using his Susanoo like that. So that's already defeated. Like there's nothing that the Susanoo could actually realistically do to Law. you know? And if we're talking about, Itachi using his taijutsu, that again would not really work on Trafalgar Law, because for one, as I went over already, Law is faster than Itachi, which means that he can avoid a lot of his stuff. Okay. Law is also stronger physically than Itachi. Much stronger, in fact. And we see this throughout all of One Piece, right? One Piece characters, they get the most hate for, like, oh my god, he's not that physically strong. Dude, Law is very strong, as well as most other One Piece characters. Okay? And he's much stronger than Itachi, physically. You see what I'm saying? And you might say, well, Itachi, he can throw shurikens and stuff like that. Like, there's nothing that Itachi could actually do to Law in that regard. His taijutsu would fail, right? His Susanoo would fail. His Amaterasu would fail. His genjutsu doesn't work. And it's like, what could Itachi actually do to Law? And it's like, it's crazy to think about, because it's like, Law, he's a hard counter directly to Itachi. Like, there's nothing that Itachi could actually do to Law. And you might say, oh, he could pop out the Susanoo, and, I'm just thinking of random attacks right now. He could pop out the Susanoo and throw his Yata beads, that Sharingan shaped disc that he throws, but he can also just like, make that thing appear somewhere else. He could just pop it out of existence and just make it teleport somewhere else. Like, there's a lot of things that just will not work. Now you might be asking, well, what can Law do to Itachi? We talked a lot about Itachi, but could Law actually do something back to Itachi? Well, actually, yes. Like, Law, he could dog walk Itachi. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, if we're covering Law's abilities, he can set up the room, right? He can amputate Itachi's arms, which, by the way, stop Itachi's seal weavings, right? If he cuts off his arms, he can't weave seals. We see this with the Orochimaru when he loses his arms. He can't weave seals. Naruto characters are heavily dependent on their arms. He can amputate both of Itachi's arms. He can amputate Itachi's Sharingan. And if he destroys the Sharingan, all of Itachi's abilities are gone. Every single one of them, they're all gone. He can chop up his body parts, put his head on his ass. He could just, extract his heart, put his heart in a square, just like, I don't know, step on it. He could do a lot of different things to Itachi, and there's really not too much Itachi can actually do about that. You know what I mean? He can swap Itachi's soul with a weaker person's, or maybe some animal. And of course, you might have, the Itachi fans come out of nowhere again, and they might be like, oh, that won't happen. That can't happen. There's a lot of characters in One Piece who can, resist, the soul swapping ability, like Kaido, Big Mom, and Luffy, and, different characters like that. That won't work. But the thing is that it actually would work, and there's a reason why, because, see, here's the thing. Chakra is not the same thing as haki. Okay, we have to understand that. Chakra is not haki. Okay? Haki is magical willpower. Chakra is a magical energy a magical spiritual energy that's inside of a chakra circulatory system. That's in your body. Okay? Itachi does not have haki. You see what I'm saying? He needs strong haki to resist devil fruit abilities. Itachi has no haki. Why does he have no haki? Because he's not from One Piece. Okay, and that's just the bottom line. If he were from One Piece, like if Itachi was in One Piece, obviously Itachi would have very powerful haki. Okay, we all know this. Like if they collabed, Itachi, he would have a lot of, like strong haki, maybe even Conqueror's haki, who knows, but he's not from One Piece. Okay, so therefore he does not have the magical willpower that One Piece characters possess, just like One Piece characters do not have chakra, which Naruto characters possess, right? So as lame as it may sound, Itachi would have his body swapped with a cricket. Okay? And there's nothing he can really do about that. Can Itachi resist the soul swapping ability with no haki? The answer to that is no. He can't do that. No matter how cool you think Itachi is, he cannot resist that, right? And the other part is, it's not like some kind of struggle ability either. Like where Nagato, he was trying to rip the soul out of Naruto, and Naruto, he was grabbing his soul back, like, no, you're not taking it, you're not taking my soul. And then Nagato's like just pulling at it, like, no, it's mine. It's not that type of ability, right? Law's soul swapping ability, it's what I call an absolute ability, right? Absolute ability is an ability that just, it activates and something happens, right? With no in between. Law does his room, he swaps his soul, bam. There's no, I'm trying to grab my soul, I'm trying to grab it back. There is no struggle like that, right? The moment Law decides to swap your soul with like a reindeer, he could just activate the room and just pow, your soul's now in a reindeer. And that's just how the ability works. Now, if you had strong haki, you could resist the ability. But again, Itachi has no haki. Okay, Itachi doesn't have haki. So he would be inside the body of a cricket or a reindeer. And that's just the truth of the matter. By the way, a cricket or a reindeer that doesn't have Sharingan, doesn't have chakra systems or, anything else like that, by the way. And it's actually very comical when you actually think about it, because, like a lot of Naruto fans, they'll come together and be like, like, who would win? A whole group of Uchihas or the worst generation from One Piece? Like, who would actually win? And you got a lot of fans in the comments of, different videos or, stuff like that, who would be like, oh my God, like my glorious King Itachi, he would just wash the whole One Piece verse, along with Madara, and all of these other kind of characters like that. And the truth of the matter is that Law could just destroy them all for the most part. Right? Specifically Itachi, like he hard counters the hell out of Itachi. There's literally nothing that Itachi could actually do to Law. Okay? And I think that should be obvious now from what I had just explained. There's nothing that Itachi could actually do to Law. All of his abilities would fail. All of his moves would fail. Law is faster, stronger, more durable than Itachi. Now of course, just for fun, just for fun, you might have some Naruto fans who might be like, oh, you're using sick Itachi. Why don't you use the Edo version of Itachi, where he's a lot faster and, he has like more chakra. It won't change anything. Okay. Like it really will not change a single thing, really. Okay. Itachi still has the same exact abilities, right? He's just more healthy, Now, of course, Itachi might have a little bit of a speed increase, because he's a little bit more healthy, but it's not like a significant speed increase where it's just like, like just something like completely dramatic, and you might be wondering, oh, well, like how will Law, defeat an Edo Tensei? And again, like there's several ways on how he can do this. He can swap Itachi's soul again right out of the Edo Tensei and into something else, completely just negating the Edo Tensei, because the Edo Tensei, it requires the Zetsu body, and all this other kind of stuff like that to channel Itachi's soul into like a body, you know, some kind of necromancy thing, right? And the body, it keeps regenerating no matter how many times you do something to it, right? But if you were to get that same soul that's in that body and put it into something else, well, he's no longer in the Edo Tensei body that has the capabilities of regeneration and all that. You see what I'm saying? And again, there's nothing that Itachi could really do about that. You know, so it's like no matter what version of Itachi you want to use, Law would beat him in every single way. You know, and again, the version of Law that I'm actually talking about is right when he's introduced on Shabari Archipelago. Okay, I'm not like, this is pre-time skip Law that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about post-time skip Law. Okay, because post-time skip Law, you know, if you really wanted to get real nice about it, post-time skip Law is, you know, he's well into light speed. You know, he's much faster, much stronger. You know, he has his awakenings, you know, and all this other kind of stuff like that. You know, I'm not even using that version of Law because that's just overkill. You know, I'm using Law when he's introduced at the beginning of the series. You know, and yeah, he claps Itachi, you know, and yeah, he would be the winner of this debate battle.